Spears? Here. Mr. Bennett?
Here.
Mr. Brown?
Yep.
Mr. Chauncey?
Here.
Mr. Custer?
Here.
Mr. Johnson?
Here.
Ms. Lugo?
Here.
Mr. Sikorsky?
Here.
Mr. Valesky?
Here.
Stand pledge. The pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
First action item is approval of minutes. Resolve PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the following minutes: March 19th, April 2nd, April 9th, April 18th, and April 25th of 2024.
So moved.
Second.
Motion is second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same. Motion carried.
Presentation, student representative address. Do we have a member from Sagertown here?
Hello, my name is Natalie Slee, and I am here to update you on what is happening at Sagertown. The varsity boys volleyball team had their senior night May 7th. Congratulations to Grant Anthony, Sam Dre, Cody Houston, Colin Jones, Spencer Kiefer, and William Nicholson. The varsity baseball team had their senior night on April 21st. Congratulations to John Grundy, Tori Mosbacher, and Connor Shaw. Lastly, congratulations to softball senior Michaela Obenreiter, who got her fifth home run of the season and pitched her 800th strikeout of her career. In honor of Teacher Appreciation Week, Sagertown held a theme day throughout May 6th to May 10th. Monday was Memo Day, Tuesday Twinning Day, Wednesday Snap a Pic, and Friday was food. Thank you to Dr. Howick for making this happen, and thank you to all of our teachers and staff. PENNCREST High Q took place on May 1st at Sagertown. Cambridge Springs took first, Sagertown took second, Maplewood took third. Thank you to Sagertown staff who held up the event and made this possible. The Sagertown team included Travis Peters, Sadie Polak, Camden Jovic, Paige Hershelman, Zorian Edwards, and team captain Brody Evans. The team was coached by Mr. Brenneman. Good job, team. Congratulations to senior Ella Totten and Paige Hershelman, whose designs were selected for the cover of this year's Sagertown Alumni Banquet Program. Prom Spirit Week is next week. Monday was USA Day, Tuesday is Twin Day, Wednesday Country vs. Country Club, Thursday Camo Day, and Friday Color Wars. Prom is on Saturday, May 18th. Our theme this year is Mardi Gras Masquerade. Red carpet is at 6:30, and the dance is from 7 to 10 p.m. at the Rambler in Cambridge Springs. The senior issue of the Panther Press will be released on May 31st. Our senior send-off podcast will be posted on May 24th. In the meantime, our staff has been releasing web posts, which you can find on our website and media. As always, thank you for your time. We look forward to updating you next month. In the meantime, follow us on our socials at the Panther Press ASHS.
Thank you. Do we have our Cambridge Springs High School student representative?
Sorry. Good evening. I'm Ella Bryant, and I will be updating you on what is going on at Cambridge Springs. Last Friday, we had another successful Cambridge Cares Day. Students worked on sidewalks, painted, cleaned up French Creek, helped families in the neighborhood who needed the extra hand, and more. Despite the cold, sprinkly weather, which luckily cleared up later, all students had fun and enjoyed their prize at the end of the day as they sat on the front lawn. Today kicked off Prom Spirit Week as students were encouraged to wear camo. Prom will be this Friday, followed by Prom Till Dawn. This week is testing week. 8th and 9th grade students finished Module 1 of their Algebra Keystone exam today and will do Module 2 tomorrow. On Wednesday and Thursday, 9th graders will be taking the Biology Keystones and 10th graders will take the English Keystones. AP testing will also be held this week. Good luck and good job to all. Biology 2 and Anatomy classes went on a field trip today to plant trees. Last Tuesday, a group of students visited Penn State Barron for math options and learned a lot while having fun with hands-on activities. Students and staff celebrated Teacher Appreciation Week by having a baked potato bar with desserts. The student-led leadership committee was a huge help and played a big role in putting this all together. Congratulations to our National History Day teams and our robotic teams for making it to nationals. Robotics will be on their way to nationals this Friday. The baseball team is currently away at Youngsville, and the softball team is hosting Maplewood today. Congratulations to Josh Simpson on his District 10 qualifying times in the 400 and the 200 meter dash. Josh will be competing with the best of Northwestern Pennsylvania this Saturday in this Saturday's PIAA District 10 track and field competitions held at Slippery Rock University. Good luck, Josh. The most recent edition of the Pitchfork, the Earth Day edition, just came out. You can always access it online. Please continue to keep up with our social media, Cambridge Speaks, to see what is happening at Cambridge Springs daily. We appreciate your involvement. Thank you.
Up next, PAEA representative, Ms. Miller.
Good evening, PENNCREST Board, students, families, faculty, and staff. I am Debbie Miller, and I'm representing over 200 teachers and educational specialists here in PENNCREST. I come to you asking for your partnership in putting the needs of our students first, and the rest will fall in place. Anyone who reads the newspaper, watches the news, or goes to the store or the gas pump knows that the cost of living is and has been rising. Not that it is market research, but I was at the checkout counter with my husband, and he marveled that a king-size candy bar is now over $3. He said it seems like just yesterday that would have only cost $1.50. That's one item, but it's more than double. So what did we do? We decided we could wait for the snacks in the car. Our family is doing what everyone else does, making choices. We choose to forego extras, like the king-size Snickers, and go with a less expensive phone plan, or ride together when possible, and drive the paid-off vehicles rather than buying a new one. But what we don't cut back on is our commitments to our work, our family, and our faith. Like everyone else, we prioritize. We know that we first give to the church, then we give to the education and the furthering of our daughters' career paths, and to our community. I would venture to say that all the families in PENNCREST are similar. They are going to stretch their dollars and set the same set of priorities. To quote one of our great English teachers here in PENNCREST, Mr. Molnar, who would always speak of priorities in his classroom, "Get it straight, students," he'd say. God, family, English. So if we all do the same with our investments, God is first, our families are second, and English, or education, is third. And I believe those top three priorities will bode well for PENNCREST. If we can agree with Mr. Molnar that education is in the top three, then we need to set aside other priorities and focus on it. I believe that a large, maybe not vocal, majority of PENNCREST families are with me in this. I know you hear from a more organized demographic that says no tax increase. They say $4 mil or $20 a month on average will cause them to lose their homes. Why not find a way for another exemption for those who are truly underprivileged and let the rest of us do our part? Many of us were disappointed to hear that PENNCREST is being penalized for not doing our part. Why would we sit here arguing about cutting teachers, programs, and services, all the while letting the state give other districts, close by even, the money that is for our students? Why would PENNCREST not rise up to the occasion? I believe PENNCREST is full of families who want to rise up in such a time as this. I know there are many taxpayers that not only find it their responsibility to pay for the future of their community, but find it a proud privilege to do so. Just like I could not stop the prices at the checkout from going up, I should not expect my contribution to public education not to go up either. That would just be ludicrous. And in the end, who loses? Students who get crammed into classes and get less personalized attention from the #1 determiner of success, their teacher. Your PENNCREST teachers are talented and capable people. Just don't tie their hands with overflowing classrooms. But like I said earlier, it's priorities. At the end of the day, our dollars have to go to what we value most, and I hope it is our students. Thank you.
Up next, the district would like to recognize some of our students for placing in various competitions. First, journalism awards that were won by both Sagertown High School and Cambridge High School students. Ms. Miller, are any of your students here tonight, do you know?
No, I emailed that she's unable to attend.
Okay.
Caitlin asked her.
So I'm going to announce the names of the students, and we'll make sure that they get the district certificates. If you are here, feel free to come up and we can deliver it to you. Otherwise, we'll get it to them in school. So under journalism, from Sagertown High School, Panther Press, Natalie Slee received second place editorial cartoon. I know Natalie's here because we just heard from her. And third place for broadcast script writing was Zorian Edwards. And also in sixth place for literary magazine artwork was Kaylee Reynolds. She not here. Will you see her tomorrow? You want to give it to her? Thank you. Good job. And from Cambridge Springs High School, we had Kaylin Asker, second place literary magazine poetry. Next, we had a state contraband qualifier for the Maplewood High School. Jocelyn Lane, in recognition of superior representation of the school committee, Pennsylvania Music Educators Association All-State Concert Band Qualifier on tenor saxophone. And lastly but not least was our group of students from Cambridge Springs High School from the National History Day competition. I'll read off all names, and if any of those students are here, they can come up and get their certificates. Charlotte Roberts, Junior Individual Exhibit Qualifier. Hunter Zazzato, Senior Group Documentary Qualifier. Catherine Hilius, Senior Group Documentary Qualifier. and Emily Cow, Senior Individual Website Qualifier.
So this is Catherine. And Emily. And I can take the others. Do you mind if I talk about the...
Yeah, sure. I didn't realize you were back, sorry. And we have the advisor here who would like to say a few words.
Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bethany Kissel. I'm the advisor of the History Day Club at Cambridge Springs High School. I've got the certificates for Charlie and Hunter, and I'll make sure that they get them. All 4 of these students worked very hard all year and were able to attend the state competition held at Scranton University. And one of the really amazing things that happened is that Hunter and Katie here, they came in second place in the entire state of Pennsylvania for their documentary in their group senior category, which qualifies them to attend the national competition held in Washington, D.C. And Katie wanted to say a couple words about History Day and what it means to her. If we could take a moment.
As she had mentioned, my name is Katie, and I am a member of the National History Day at Cambridge Springs. I would like to give a big thanks to Mrs. Kissel for her gracious dedication in mentoring us. I would also like to thank the school board members who support us in our endeavors and those who help us to fund trips to the state and national competitions. We do appreciate your acknowledgement of our History Day accomplishments, but it is difficult to reconcile in light of the fact that the school board is now considering cutting funding from this academic program. It makes me believe that there may be a disconnect between wanting kids to succeed and actually giving them the tools that they need to do so. The PENNCREST District website states that the PENNCREST mission is to provide resources and opportunities that challenge students, assess their educational progress, provide a system of support, and empower all to become confident, lifelong learners. My teammates and I are the pinnacle of this mission statement, and yet we sadly learned that next week that the club funding may be ending. And this might mean that we may not be able to attend the National History Day competition in Washington, D.C. We worked very hard for this, and due to the small size of our group, it is difficult to do any meaningful fundraising. Therefore, we have always relied on supportive funds from the school board. If you want our school to shine in Pennsylvania, then please consider what kind of statement it makes to cut funding for programs where Cambridge Springs students have already competed and placed nationally. The students and teachers in these programs work hard each year, and it would be a shame to see National History Day at Cambridge Springs stop competing after 30+ years. We ask you to consider funding for these current achievements and for the next 30 years to come. Thank you.
Okay, up next we have public comment from citizens. This evening we have 11 registered speakers. Just to review the policy that the board has, it's 5 minutes for registered speakers, and there is a 30-minute time limit in the policy for the whole public speaking section. So just to try and be able to get all 11 folks in that are signed up, a lot of information may be reiterated, so if you could try and help each other along by trying to make your comments specific so that we can get all 11 people to get in and not have it be overly burdensome on you all for sitting through the entire meeting. But we will get all 11 folks through. Just want to let folks know that. So first up we have scheduled is Dan Healey from Cambridge Springs. Again, when you come up, just restate your name and township residence.
I'm Dan Healey. While I'm getting my stuff together, I'd just like to say it's been a blessing to be part of PENNCREST for 41 years. My wife and I live here. We raised 4 children and 6 grandchildren who are now part of the district. And we were very pleased with the education, with the quality and commitment of the teaching staff, and for the way that they loved our children at Cambridge Springs. And so I just want to throw that in, that the district is doing a great job. So, ready to go. I say no to tax increases. That may be redundant, but let me say that again. I say no to tax increases. A $4.3 million projected shortfall in mid-May is a crisis. When situations arise like this, there's a proven path forward where once all agree on the magnitude of the challenge, all must buy in to bring every possible solution to the table and to bring it quickly. The new tone in the room is refreshing, and teamwork and kindness will continue to serve us well during this process. Yet it seems that we've been slow to respond with remedy. My perspective is purely based on the posted budget presentations and sitting in on some of our public meetings. But I wouldn't be surprised that there must be other bigger solutions that are already in the works. So I'll skip through a paragraph. It's surprising that so many departments are allowed to put out budgetary numbers that are so far from what can be allowed. Everyone wants more, but time for separating wants and needs has long since passed, as this is a crisis mode. Some of the normal, proven path responses to financial crisis are a pause on hiring, a pause on overtime, a pause on operating budget expenditures, a pause on non-essential travel, pauses on capital project spending. In my opinion, absolutely all of the options that the business unit has presented through budgetary presentations should be acted on. They all seem reasonable. They all seem logical, both on the expense and revenue sides, with exception to tax increases. Please say no tonight to the $4 which by any sense of the word is the highest tax increase allowed by law. There's a simple and better way. It's been said that when the going gets tough, the tough get going. So when 70% of your budget is salary, wages, and benefits, well, you know where you have to look. An obvious reorganization plan, plus an across-the-board spending cut in all areas that are not mandated by the state or the federal government is in order. The strategic purpose must be protected, while some of the non-essentials will have to go. You've known this since the moment of ratification. So I'd hope that you're already running the gamut of possible scenarios back in the boardroom. I understand that most of the increased expenses are driven by the contract and by Biden inflation that has destroyed our economy, and now we can see that impact directly on every budgetary line. Another problem is the impact of COVID relief. Free money was great, but COVID relief has been the crack cocaine of local governing bodies for several years and is now factored into the basis when projecting future expenses in some cases. Please understand the citizen's perspective. When inflation hits us, we respond by reducing personal consumption. We've lost 20% of our buying power since 2020. And that's a low number because that's just based on consumer price index. Corresponding changes in home values and interest rates make it very difficult for a young person or any person making less than $100K to buy a home. We juggle our finances to keep up with ever-increasing costs, and we are at a breaking point. Our seniors and young families are under great pressure and make difficult decisions every day. According to U.S. News, 42% of our students and their families are economically disadvantaged. Some will decide to buy shoes or coats for their children or to pay this outrageous tax increase. A quick look at the budget shows more wages, more benefits, more transportation,
30 seconds.
more outsourced professionals, more athletics, more technology, more. While our enrollment is less, and this downward trend will continue into the foreseeable future. Corrections and right-sizing the system will be a challenge. This shortfall requires deep cuts, but not that deep. This isn't 2016. With your oversight and with the great leadership from our new superintendent, we can accomplish this required systemic change needed to meet today's challenges and to propel us forward toward a better future. Say no to any new tax increase. Say yes to cost control. Thank you.
Next, we have James Ranken. Please state your name and township.
James Ranken, Guys Mills, Pennsylvania. If I was to title my thesis tonight, it is Cavum and Poor, Buyer Beware. First of all, I'm not attacking teachers. I was a teacher in Houston, Texas for 21 years, and before that I taught in the Marine Corps for nearly 20 years. So I'm not here to bash teachers, but we have to look at a few things. And one of those things is, how are we spending our money in comparison to the product that we're getting? Yes, we have students going to national history, but it's only a couple from one school. It should be 40% more from all schools. Maplewood, Sagertown, and of course Cambridge Springs. So we need to look at what we're getting as a product. The performance level at grade for third graders, this is PENNCREST School District website information, for reading is at 50%. That means 50% can't read, or can't read at grade level. That's a problem. That's a serious problem. It's even worse with mathematics being at 17% at grade level. Clearly, technology is not teaching our children. I will state this for a fact. Every one of us is carrying one of these devices called a smartphone. Before the invention of the smartphone, when I was in the Marine Corps, I had anywhere from 40 to 50 telephone numbers memorized in my head that I would call all over the base and different people, and that's before cell phones, because we called them at their desk. This thing, I don't even know my wife's phone number because I just pull it up and there it is. And I don't have to dial it, it's there. So smart technology is proving not to make our kids smarter. So buying more smart boards and more smart technology, we're going in the wrong direction here. We're going downhill and not uphill. Clearly, technology is not the answer. Yes, technology is good. Yes, we need email. Yes, we need cyber security. Yes, we got to protect the kids from this stuff that's on this thing. But the bottom line is, whatever you're spending in technology is not teaching the kids. Math is down to 17%. This is 8th grade. Your stats. 8th grade, 35% at English level. At grade level, 8th grade, 13% in math. The big shining star, surprisingly, and great, is science, 60%. But that's still a 40% deficit. If you were working for Channel Lock, or you wanted to buy a Channel Lock tire, a Channel Lock pair of pliers, and they had 40% of the pliers they made defective, would you buy that brand? The answer is no. Same thing with your car. You wouldn't buy a Ford if Ford put out, what, 65% of their cars can't drive? You wouldn't buy it. Sadly, what's happening here is technology is taking a forefront. Yes, it's easier sometimes to teach with technology, but our kids aren't learning. So we need to step back. Remember, what is insanity? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over, getting no different results and wondering why. It's time for something new. Also, our student population has already been mentioned, is going down, down, down. And I understand there's no forecast for it to go up. If student populations are going down, so is your tax base. Your tax base is an aging pool. It's a grim fact of reality. Death takes us all one day. And when you get my age and older, death isn't that far away. So you want to tax the fixed income people. Those that can afford to stay will stay. Those that can't will move to Florida. Just ask California and Texas, like I meant the last time. My mother used to say, you cannot get blood from a beet. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, by Bryant. Please mention your name and township.
Fred Bryant, Troy Township. I have to say I'm pretty disappointed with the board. I think the board has disappointed the community. Without a plan to manage existing resources, because we are already running at a deficit, The school board has approved an expensive salary package for the new superintendent and approved an extremely lucrative package for our instructors with one of the most favorable health care packages in the country. It would appear that in spite of pledges to the contrary, the plan was simply to raise taxes to pay for these expenditures. The board has been repeatedly warned that if spending was not brought under control, there would be tax increases every year for as far as the eye can see, and now it's only worse. There's no balanced budget in sight, and we're talking about millage increase for this year. Look at next year, look at the year after that. You're going to have to keep raising taxes if you don't get control of the budget. I called the county treasurer today to get an update. In 2023, there were nearly 100 properties in the county were sold to pay back taxes. This doesn't include foreclosures. And there are 2,023 properties on the list that are behind in their taxes and subject to tax sales. The number of properties being lost to tax sales is going up, with nearly 30% of the county being fixed income retirees or disabled. The ability to earn more money to save properties and homesteads is very limited. A simple way to look at the budget is to take the overall budget and divide it by the declining student population, and you will see that we're spending over $25,000 to educate one child on average. That is an incredible sum. We continue to spend more each year on a steadily decreasing number of students. We spend more each year on a steadily decreasing number of students. The idea that we're not spending enough is ridiculous. When I worked for the federal government, once a budget was approved, each branch and department was allocated resources for the year, and we had to manage the budget. If we didn't get as much as we had hoped for, we had to go through a budget review process and make cuts appropriately. It should be the same process here. The board is supposed to be in charge of this process and should tell the administration, provide 3 or 4 options to get to a balanced budget, and then we'll make adjustments. Instead, it appears the administration provides the board with their requests, gives dire warnings of deadlines, and the board just capitulates to the administration. The board is supposed to be in charge and is elected to represent the taxpayers. The administration is supposed to work for the board and should be responsive to the board's guidance, not the other way around. The board now has set itself up for a $4 million deficit, and it wants the public to pay for it. The budget could be completely balanced by either moving funds from uncommitted funds or a combination of relatively minor budget cuts and those from the uncommitted funds. We have multiple expensive positions in the bureaucracy that are not involved in day-to-day instruction. These positions were not necessary before PENNCREST was formed, and they're not necessary today with a declining student population. The budget has a slop or slush fund of nearly $1 million just for undesignated supplies. There are also funds designated for infrastructure and equipment that could be slowed or delayed. The board should ignore cries from the administration that the budget has to be approved quickly and take the time to balance the budget. Cuts must come, or the never-ending tax increases will continue and more properties will be lost to tax sales and foreclosures. A $4 million increase is nearly the same millage increase from the last 10 years. That is incredible. There are many of us in the public who would volunteer their time to assist in making recommendations to the board for sound budget modifications that would not jeopardize the very important task of providing our youth with a great education. Thank you.
Tom ONeil. State your name and township for record, please.
Tom ONeil. What was the other part?
Township residence.
Crawford County. What am I, Townville? Yeah, I'm in Townville. Right. I haven't been here long. And I did have some information prepared, but in listening to the previous speakers, I'm gonna go off book. So I'm gonna reiterate, I'm not from here. If I want to go to my office to work instead of working remotely, I got to drive 108 miles to get there. I work for the Bank of New York Mellon. I'm in data analytics and metrics. I'm hearing people throw figures around. Technology's not the way to go. Technology's not the way to go. The projects I'm involved with are developing AI and machine learning. I did not plan to come here to talk about that. What I do want to talk to you about, now that I'm hearing this, my background, where I work, I'm in technology. It's not going away. Folks, we're not going to get rid of technology. We're not shutting off the computers. We're not shutting off the networks that feed the cell phones. It's not going to happen. There are kids. Why are we not going to put in their hands the things that are going to be out there in the future? Because the jobs we have now, in 20 years, they're not going to exist. They're going to be a whole new set of job markets with skills you don't understand. Neither do you, and neither do I. Technology marches on, whether you like it or not. I'm sorry. I did not intend to say this. I had some statistics from the Brookings Institution and all that wonderful stuff about 0.22 standard deviations are possible in the lack of performance when you increase the classroom size in areas that are economically depressed. And it usually affects boys worse. Do we have children here that are male, economically depressed? Then they're the target that will suffer from an increased ratio students to teachers. That's what I was going to go with. I was going to bring that kind of stuff. Then I hear, I'm sorry, technology. Where do you think it's going? $4 million? Yeah. Yes. I sign up. And I only have one child in the school district. When she moves on, I will pay. I will enjoy the benefits of a social contract and pay for the future. Because if we don't, there are kids out there in school districts that are gearing them with technology to prepare them for the future. Do you want your kids to compete with them, or do you want your kids to serve them at the fast food restaurant? That's a hard reality. The point is, cost goes up. That's education too. You don't make eggs cost more, but not the education that'll provide the job to pay for the higher cost of eggs 10 years from now. I'll pay. I vote yes. That's my own part. I get it. Like I said, I'm not from here. I came here, I'm from Philadelphia specifically, and then Cranberry Township, then up here. There were even too many people in Cranberry Township for me. I wanted space, fewer neighbors, more green, make my own food, drink my own water. I'm done with that. However, I do have internet, multiple computers, smartphones. I am plugged in and I will stay relevant, and so will my kids.
30 seconds.
I don't need it. Thank you. Thank you for your time.
You're wondering why I'm on crutches, because my brain hasn't figured out, and my body's 39 years old, so we're getting there. Anyways, I'll keep it short and sweet as well. I hear a lot of emotions, a lot of things said here, and I can agree with both sides, really all sides, and I would like to just point out a few things. Number one that has been pointed out is inflation naturally has gone insane, and that is because we know the people in Washington, D.C. do not care about us. The people in Harrisburg do not care about us, are not going to care about us. They are not going to support us. So what I'm saying is I'm an advocate for solving problems right here. Local governing is where the problems are solved. And if we can come together as a community to solve them, that is number one. I did go over a lot of the numbers. I noticed that our enrollment did decline by, I believe, about 20% in the past 10 years. And our special needs enrollment actually increased about 10%, about 9%, if my numbers are right, which they could be off a little bit. So it tells you another thing. What else does that tell you? It tells you, well, once again, there's a reason the special needs is going up in our society, right? Once again, in my mind, that points to governments at a state and at a federal level, they're not going to take care of a local problem, right? They don't care if there's more special needs. They don't care this or that. So that being said, I am all for education. I am for supporting I'm even for supporting the teachers. I'm for supporting them in every way that we can. And I realize we have to come together as a community and figure out where to cut. And that's hard. That's so hard because, there's always going to be a difference of opinion. There's always going to be an emotionally charged thing there, right? I don't have the answers. I'm just here to say that I'm not totally for raising a whole bunch of taxes, but I'm not against raising some taxes in order to keep the state and the federal governments out of our decision making. And it's something that I've given a lot of thought recently, and I really didn't understand it all until I started looking at the numbers, and I began to dig a little bit. And I spoke with some of you in this room about it, and I appreciate everyone's time in doing that. And it's not, I'm not here to peddle fear, right? I'm not here to say, well, if this happens, then this is going to happen. I don't know. A lot of us things that we don't know. I spoke to some people in Erie County that were involved up there. I work in Erie County. And the state did come over and take them over at one point there and did raise their taxes astronomically. I mean, it put a hurting on people. And so I would encourage people to just kind of give that some thought, right? I'm late to this party. I don't know all the details of this party. It's just something in my head. I'm thinking, well, will the state come in later and raise our taxes anyways? I don't know. But they did in Erie. They did. Does that give us more? It gives us way less power, in my mind, to solve it here locally. I'm a traditionalist in every sense of the word. I believe in teaching family traditions and the traditional family at home, and keep it in the home, and keep all the other garbage, the woke agenda, out. And that is my number one goal in life, is raising that. Someone already said it here tonight. God first, God, family, community. And so I guess in our talking and our decisions and our voting, keep that in mind. Will the state come in later? And will they raise our taxes anyways? Will that give them power over us? I don't know. That's just something to consider, right? And that's where I stand on it. So thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next, Teresa Goldsmith. Please state your name and for the record.
Teresa Goldsmith, Woodcock Township. Thank you for allowing me to talk with you and for your service to the district. I know the decisions that you have to make are not easy ones, but they are important. Those decisions have consequences, and we all know that consequences can be positive or negative. I'm here as a mother and a teacher. I've been teaching for 38 years and a mother for 31 years. I would like to address our mission statement and remind you that you should have our students as your #1 priority. Let's take a look at the mission statement. PENNCREST School District mission is to provide resources and opportunities that challenge students, assess their educational progress, provide a system of support, and empower all to become confident, lifelong learners. Let's look at providing resources and opportunities that challenge students. How is an elementary classroom of up to 29 students going to help teachers provide the opportunities that challenge them? How can you make a decision on what is best for our students without knowing what is going on right now? We have repeatedly invited you into our classrooms to see what it is that we really do. If you would take the time to come and see for yourself, you could make informed decisions, not decisions based on opinions of 1 or 2 people or dollar signs. I have no thought that I know the best, but I do know that in order to make a decision, one should be looking at everything. Like when I teach using the KWL charts, what do I know, what do I want to know, and what have I learned? Have you guys done that? 1 or 2 sources is not enough for an informed decision. The next part of the mission statement is assess their educational progress. Have you looked at your data and your educational progress in helping this district be the best district it can be? In choosing not to increase revenue into the district, or is choosing not to increase revenue into the district, the best decision for the students who are our future? When test scores are not where you think that they should be due to teachers being spread so thin and very little time for one-on-one help, who will you blame? The curriculum, the students with 28 other classmates full of individual issues, or the teacher? And the last part is to provide a system of support and empower all to become confident, lifelong learners. How does cutting the mental health coordinator provide a system of support that will empower all to become confident, lifelong learners? The mental health coordinator has given PENNCREST the opportunity to increase supports at Tier 2 and 3 for students in need. There is a significant shortage in mental health providers in our area, and without the supports we provide, students could be placed on waiting lists for 3 to 6 months just to get started with an outside service. Having some supports available to students and families in the school setting can help prevent repeated hospitalizations, self-harm, and significant mental health breaks, and they happen in our schools. From my first year of teaching till now, I have seen a great increase in mental health needs. There are many reasons for this, but debating those reasons is not important. The importance is getting help for those in need. Did you know that May is Mental Health Awareness Month? This is especially important to me due to the loss of my son to suicide in 2017. According to the 2024 State of Education report from the Pennsylvania School Boards Association, an average of nearly half of students, 46.4%, were estimated to have some mental health need. It is unacceptable not to have this in mind when making the decisions of whether to keep our mental health coordinator or not. The question is, can we afford not to have this position? I know that the budget is important, but is money more important than our students' needs emotionally and educationally? Every other school district around, Fort LaBeouf, Union City, MASH, Cache, are investing more and more into the mental health of students and teachers. However, we are cutting it. It's on national news. I guess I'm going to go to the end. What are we doing for our children? What are we doing for families? We are cutting and never investing in the growing. Many families are leaving this district when they should be staying, but we don't send an image that presents to families they want to stay.
Thank you. Robert Skelly. Again, state your name and township of residence for the record.
Robert Skelly, Hayfield. Members of the board, I understand the tough decisions that you're facing here tonight regarding the future of PENNCREST School District and its budget shortfalls. I would like you to consider these options to help overcome these shortfalls before making the final decisions. Options like changing rent for agencies outside the school district for use of the facilities, installing solar panels maybe, or even selling off unused property could increase revenue dollars. Understandably, tax increase is it's never a term anyone wants to hear, but it's a valid option and needs to be explored and utilized. I would be in support of a tax increase if it keeps this school board from cutting educators, supplies, increasing classroom sizes, and cutting licenses and computer security measures that keep ours and our children's information secure from cyber attacks. Cutting educators and increasing classroom sizes may help your budgetary dollars today, but will it provide your students with the best opportunity? I don't think so. Programs like Renaissance and STARS for ELA and math, which help educators improve test scores and identify students in need of educational assistance. Do you think this cut will help your teachers? I don't think so. Have you considered the impact of larger classes on all aspects of the schools? For example, the elementary computer lab that is set up for a limited number of students. That would need renovated. Additional wiring, computers, and other essential equipment to house those increased class sizes. How are you going to cover those costs? Did you consider the thoughts of potential homeowners looking to move into the area when they check out PENNCREST School District and find overcrowded classes, stressed teachers due to budget cuts, and potential state-run board? Do you think they're going to put their child in that situation? Nope. Unfortunately, the previous boards before you did not recognize the need to keep up with the rising costs of labor, materials, and utilities. It now falls on your shoulders to correct that and to start to recognize and rebuild. My last question for you all: can this board find a way to utilize methods like renting and solar power and install a tax increase so that the taxpayers can share this burden, or this budget cut be at the expense of your educators and students? Thank you.
Again, please state your name and township and residence for the record.
Daniel McComas, Troy Township, been here before. Everybody here knows me, knows I don't want taxes increased at all. Sometimes it can't be avoided. All these guys that's been up here has made some pretty good points, even the guy that all the liberals clapped for. Technology's not going away. We're going to be stuck with it, whether we like it or not. And everybody, talking about what we're not getting, but nobody's talked about what we have been getting out of our tax money. What we have been getting is declining enrollment, crashing scores, liberal activist teachers, socially and politically and sexually indoctrinating our children, pornography in the libraries, gross overspending on administrative costs. There's no way that we need to be spending like 3/4 of our money just on labor. We've got $1.25 million, I think, for sports. There's over 25% of the shortfall that you got. I mean, hey, I don't want to see sports go, but if you can't afford to pay the light bill, you can't afford to go on vacation, okay? You got to make cuts. How many teachers' aides do we got? I don't know. Probably too many. When I went to school, the only class that had teachers' aides was the special ed class. That was the only one. Everybody else had 30 kids in a room. You had one teacher. If you got out of line, she sent you to the office or cracked you with a paddle. I mean, we can't do that anymore. Maybe if we could get better control on classrooms, if we could. But we got teachers here that have stood in the building next door and blatantly and proudly declared how they're going to teach your kids all this weird gay stuff. And And they want all these secret books in the libraries and in their classrooms, and actually threatened the board with retaliation if they dared do anything to try to stop her from going on with her agenda. We paid for it. Was she ever held to account? No. We gave her a pay raise and a new computer. There's another one, $500,000. You know, there's so much money that gets spent that it is not necessary to spend. Is sports necessary? No, but they're great. Is art necessary? No, but it's great. Is music necessary? No, but it's great. Those are all things I would not want to see defunded or wiped off the budget. Only if it had to absolutely be with no other recourse. But there are so many more cuts this district can make. Millions, 50-something million dollars. Our taxes ain't never went down. We've got less kids to educate. We got buildings that are sitting partially empty. We got over $1 million, like I said, for football, but the bricks on this building, the mortar is falling out of them. I walked past it on the way in here today. I could go up there with my finger and flip the mortar out of, I don't know, 3 or 4 courses of bricks right through the middle of the wall on the far side of this building. But we're spending all this money on sports. We're spending all this money on computers for teachers. Do they need computers? I assume they do. I need hammers. I need screwdrivers. I need wrenches. I buy my own tools. You know why? Because nobody buys them for me. Every profession buys their own tools. Carpenters, electricians, plumbers, everybody. The guy laying the tile in your kitchen, he bought that tile saw with his own money. You know, the guy building the addition on your house, he bought the tool belt and the hammer that he's carrying with his own money. And a property tax increase doesn't hit everybody quite the same. If you rent, your property tax increase, or your landlord's property tax increase, is going to affect your rent. But it's mainly a tax on those of us that are fortunate enough to actually own a house. If you want to raise taxes, go to the per capita tax. Hit everybody. Because then if you're over 18, you're paying, man. Not just telling the little old ladies that's living on her Social Security that her bills go up $20 a month, which is another good point. You know, it's only $20 a month on average. Well, but a $3 candy bar is too much. At least you're getting something for your $3 if you buy the candy bar. You know, we're not getting anything for our $20. So, but pretty much, yeah, I mean, these guys covered all pretty good, but no, make some cuts. We don't need any more tax increases. We just got one last year. We keep getting tax increases. We're doing less and we're paying more. Not a good business plan.
Okay, up next, Jessica Black. Again, for the record, state your name and township residence.
Good evening. My name is Jessica Graff, and I'm a resident of Venango Borough and currently serving as Borough Council President. I'm here this evening because I'd like to ask the PENNCREST School Board to take a strategic approach now and in the future when making decisions about increasing taxes. As a local municipal official, I fully understand the challenges of balancing a budget during this time of rising costs and declining populations. I appreciate that the board is looking closely at how all resources are spent throughout our district. I'm asking the board to consider approval of a tax increase that will maximize the district's eligibility for state funding by demonstrating that PENNCREST is doing its part. I would like to share an example of how Venango Borough has done this in recent years. After moving to the area in 2017, I quickly became involved with the community because I recognized that our town had been experiencing steady declines for decades, yet had so much potential. It did not take long at all to recognize that the only way Venango Borough was going to be successful was to leverage state and federal funding. I began to research grants available for municipalities. 4 years later, Venango is ready to break ground on a new park for this region with a total project cost of over $985,000. It was very motivating to work with the Crawford County Planning Office, Cambridge, Cussawago, and Venango Townships and others, knowing that every dollar raised had the potential to be matched by the DCNR. Rather than simply spend their original stimulus grants, municipalities recognized that a contribution of local money toward the park would effectively double the amount of money that we brought to Crawford County in matching funds. Just like PENNCREST, Venango Borough struggles to generate revenue from its property taxes. In fact, there are currently 17 vacant properties, about 20% of the total properties in Venango. Without reassessment since the 60s, property taxes have become a convenience fee for owners who are not making an effort to improve or sell their homes. This impacts Venango significantly, just as it impacts PENNCREST. Many people do not realize that a town like Venango actually receives more from local earned income tax than property taxes. So for the 17 properties that are vacant and do not have any working families residing in them, there are no earned income tax revenues for either the borough or PENNCREST. I have used this example because it is vitally important that PENNCREST does indeed generate the revenues necessary to demonstrate to the state that we are doing our part, so they will increase their contribution. As I mentioned at the beginning, I fully appreciate your efforts to be fiscally responsible, and I would be upset if money was being wasted. However, at some point, you must generate revenue if you want to provide a high level of service. There are many tough decisions that have to be made now and in the future. It is important to find a balance without the only solution being cutting programs, resources, teaching positions, and more. Again, I'm challenging you to make strategic decisions about increasing taxes so the state supports our district instead of sending allocations elsewhere. I would also challenge you to take action on the tough but necessary decisions relating to combining of programs at the high school level that would enable us to offer more academic and extracurricular activities. I'd be very cautious about continued cuts at the elementary level. As a former college faculty member, my sections of 30 students thrived, and our athletic teams of 20 or more performed better than previous teams with lower numbers. There is strength in numbers at the high school level. As a parent of 2 kindergartners and a 3rd grader, I honestly cannot imagine getting anything productive done with more than 20 students. They simply have too many needs. On a final note, I'm asking the board to recognize that there are people in the community that support increasing taxes. For all of our taxpayers, they've had their chance in life. For our children, the only day that the score was even was the day that they were born. From 0 to 18 years of age, it is all of our responsibilities to ensure that we provide the very best for them. I would like to ask everyone this evening to think about how you spend money. Are you willing to sacrifice 1 or possibly 2 dinners out to pay it forward to our children and pay a little more in taxes? Our schools are merely surviving and certainly not thriving. With a 3.7% increase, the median household will contribute $60.55 per year more to our schools. If the board would have proposed a resolution to approve a 7.5% increase this evening, it would be an additional $122.05. As a community, we need to come together and do what's right for the next generation. As a board, please listen to the people who you have hired to lead your students and to lead your schools and teach our students. Thank you for your time.
Please state your name and township residence for the record, please.
Good evening, and thank you for allowing me to speak tonight. My name is Mark Van Dorn, and my family and I live in Cambridge Springs. We lived there for the last 18 years. A long time ago, I read a statement that really put things in perspective for me concerning school districts. And that was why parents get so upset with teachers, administrators, and school board members. And that's because you are handling their 2 most precious things, their money and their children. And you can see from our audience tonight, people are clearly concerned about one or both. I am here because I am concerned with both. I have 2 children who did attend Cambridge Springs until their 3rd and 5th grade. Several years ago, though, my wife and I were at a school board meeting where they surprisingly did not renew the superintendent's contract during a public meeting. And then one of the school board members told the superintendent, "That's for raising our taxes." It was at that moment that my wife and I decided to pull our kids from this district because we realized that our tax money was not going to be well spent on bringing in and retaining great teachers. It wasn't going to be spent on updating technology, and it certainly wasn't going to be spent on doing the best for our children and their educational growth and well-being. They were simply concerned about the bottom line. And although it seems that there was some who still have that view today, I'm hoping that this school board is different. Because of our decision back then, we now only pay school tax for PENNCREST, which we're happy to do because we understand it's an investment in our community. But we are paying thousands of dollars to send our kids to a neighboring district. I have 3 other families who, over the years, talking to them, they are doing the same thing, of pulling their kids from PENNCREST and paying thousands of dollars to send them to a neighboring district. I've talked to other families who are looking for a forever home for their families, for their children, but refuse to look in PENNCREST because they are not convinced that PENNCREST is going to offer the best educational services for their kids. A school district to me is somewhat like a business. Our raw materials that we bring in and our products that we turn out are obviously a bit different. But to run a successful business, there are a lot of costs to keep the facility safe and in good shape. And hiring and keeping good employees. And like any business, employee costs are the bulk of the money spent. We need to be able to compete with neighboring districts and hire the best teachers and keep the best teachers to provide the best education for our kids. I know that Cambridge Springs lost a very, very talented teacher last semester to a neighboring district. It was a huge loss for Cambridge Springs, but it was a big win for the neighboring district. Continually cutting budgets and not updating resources to be competitive is not a good way to invest in a business, nor our community, let alone our children. No one wants to pay more taxes, including myself. Everything's expensive enough as it is. But if the funds are spent appropriately and knowing that it's an investment for our students and our communities and our future, then it seems like an obvious duty. We know that the state and the federal government are only going to do so much. It's up to us to do the rest. I'm sure, like any good and informed school board members, that you have spent plenty of time in these buildings, talking to teachers, talking to students, talking to administration. You know what they need. At least I'm hoping you have been in those buildings. It's because of this firsthand knowledge that hopefully you have gained that you will make the right vote tonight for our students and their futures and the future of our communities and bring PENNCREST back to the heyday when PENNCREST was the district to teach in and the district to learn in. I know you have a couple choices here tonight on what to do, and I am hoping that you're going to do the right thing and vote for the $4 million tonight and invest in the future of our kids and communities. I do want to honestly thank each and every one of you for serving your time on the school board and hopefully being in those buildings and working with those teachers and kids. I know it's not an easy task, but voting for the $4 million increase should be an easy task. Thank you.
Again, please state your name and township of residence for record.
Audrey Bullock, Rockdale Township. Tonight, I would like to share my perspective as a student on the budget decisions that you will be making. As a crucial part of this equation, we students place our trust in your decision-making abilities to provide us with the best possible education, support, access to opportunities that extend beyond the classroom, and provide programs that will empower us to be lifelong learners. We also trust that our community will support these decisions for the sake of enriching our education. Please vote on a budget that balances students' needs and local taxpayers' wants. Balance is defined as an even distribution of weight, enabling someone or something to remain upright and steady. Although I do not have time to touch on all, here are just some examples that may show that imbalance between the two. Increased class sizes will not help with student performance, especially during the formative years. There is a greater chance for disruption and distraction from students who choose to hide in the crowd and for inattentive students to get lost. As a student who loves to learn, experiencing these disruptions can be extremely frustrating to the learning environment. Some students can persevere, while others are set up for failure in these conditions. Cutting down on supplies and resources for students will also negatively impact their education. I see it every day in school already. For example, in my art class, we often have to bring our own supplies due to lack of materials, and our art teacher often has to provide her students with sufficient supplies. And it isn't just art classes. Advanced math requires smart words for student success. Not believing in technology in the 21st century is unfathomable. Technology today allows students to choose the way they're going to learn and how they interact with that information. Denying teachers and students materials, such as a smartboard, prevents the use of a tool that is necessary to adhere to students' differing learning styles. The way I learn best is through visuals, reading, and writing. Not all students learn the same way. And then there are the opportunities in academic programs. Just recently, 3 of our academically rooted organizations at CSHS earned the opportunity to travel to compete in national competitions. These students are showing not only impressive academic achievements, but also immersing themselves in knowledge and application outside of their classrooms, which enriches and broadens their education. Limiting transportation for these students to compete will strip them of these academic and creative outlets, which are so important for their well-roundedness and overall success in life. There was a time when our district supported extended learning opportunities outside the classroom. Did you know students used to have the opportunity to travel? French class used to go to Toronto, students sent it to New York City, history students to Washington, D.C., and drama students to Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Some of us will never travel outside of Crawford County. I am taking anatomy and physiology as a course this year, and it is one of the most interesting and challenging courses I have taken. It has even opened my eyes to the possibility of entering the health field when I'm older. As a part of joining that class, we have had the opportunity to visit the cadaver lab at Mercyhurst University to put a visual reference to what we are learning. My peers and I talked about how excited we were for this trip, and when we were given the news that the district was unable to provide us transportation on that day, I can't even express to you how disappointed our class was. These opportunities are so important for students to expand their knowledge beyond just lectures in the classroom. Resources are also incredibly important to our students' education, and they are dwindling. Cambridge Springs High School Library has not received any new books in 3 years, and the elementary school hasn't received any in 2 years. As a student who loves to read, this is disappointing. Resources such as Scholastic and Britannica database subscriptions have not been renewed, preventing students from learning how to use databases used at the college level. Instead, students research the internet, which takes a lot of time to evaluate sources, whereas subscription databases eliminates this. Students at the junior high level are not learning evaluation skills needed for research. I have not completed a formal research paper since 7th grade geography class, back when we had the library built into our schedules and were taught how to annotate research and create a bibliography. Since then, I have done minimal research work in my classes, which is a skill I will need to apply in college. Tonight, I have heard many pleas to not increase taxpayer dollars. Here are my pleas to you. Please do not increase class sizes, because all PENNCREST students should be provided an environment where they can succeed in. Please do not limit academic programs, because every PENNCREST student should be able to challenge themselves in the classroom. Please continue supporting educational opportunities beyond the classroom, because all PENNCREST students should be inspired to do more than they ever thought possible. Please provide educational resources to the teachers, because all PENNCREST students learn differently. When students' needs are compared to taxpayers' wants, there is definitely an imbalance. When you vote tonight, your decision will directly impact the quality of education provided to PENNCREST students. Lifelong learners should be given lifelong opportunities and an education worth a lifetime. Making cuts affects us. Some of you say, we can't do that to the taxpayers. What about we can't do that to our students? We are the ones constantly taking the hit. Please create a balance between us and the taxpayers. Thank you.
That is all our registered speakers for tonight. I'd just like to say just a couple things prior to opening up to non-registered speakers, is just thank you for everybody for your input. Community input is important, and for those of you that have been at these meetings for the past 2 years, this has been the most professionally spoken group of people that have come up. There were no individualized personal attacks on the board or on other members within the audience. And we appreciate that, because the board is trying to model that behavior, and I can see as a community, that's one of our first steps to come together as a community. Not everybody's going to agree, as we've all said, but this evening's, if you've been here in the past 2 years, it's been much, much better received than we saw a couple years ago. So we all appreciate that, and thank you. Now we'll go on to if there's any citizens that aren't. Again, come up to have 2 minutes according to policy. If you can just state your name and township residence, please.
My name is Christine Rennick, and I'm from Cambridge Township, and I'm here to vote for a tax increase. I understand the district's need to find money in order to continue operating, but the proposal to cut should be not an option. As a kindergarten teacher in another district, I see firsthand the impacts of class size. Larger class sizes aren't just inconvenient for the teachers, they have a giant negative impact on both academic success and mental health of students. Multiple studies show a clear link between similar class sizes and improved academic performance. Students receive more personalized attention, allowing them to grasp concepts more effectively. Large classes leave struggling students behind, widening the achievement gap and increasing the need for special education services, something that is proposed to possibly be cut. But the impact goes beyond grades. Overcrowded classrooms create a stressful environment. Students feel lost in the crowd, their anxieties and learning difficulties often going unnoticed. This can lead to feelings of isolation, frustration, depression, and unfortunately, in the worst case scenario, even suicide. I know my son's class went from 4 classes to 3 this year, and he's had major anxiety issues due to it. The student population and needs have drastically changed over the years, and even more so since COVID. Students are coming to us lacking basic social and emotional skills, along with executive functioning skills. They're coming to us in a state of trauma. They're grieving, they're abused, they're malnourished. Those are just some examples. More and more students are having learning and behavioral impairments due to drug use in utero. When you have a class size of 27, many of which don't have their basic needs met at home, this all falls on the teachers. Today alone, I childlined a student who had been physically abused by his mom.
30 seconds.
Spent time with a student at the nurse because her finger was infected. All of these things that take up time and they take away from the academics of other students. Cutting teaching and paraprofessional positions will negatively affect the students academically, which could potentially require more money to be spent on special education services down the road. Our students deserve academic and emotional greatness. They do not deserve to be punished with an increase in class size and less attention and support, especially when they are requiring more from their teachers each day.
Okay, hearing none, we will move on to the board report for Section 6, Education Report. Up first is for approval of the 2024 graduates. So first item to request for approval, resolve that PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the attached list of 2024 graduates from Cambridge Springs High School, Maplewood High School, and Sagertown High School, as well as the PENNCREST Cyber Academies.
So moved.
Second.
Been a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Mr. President, I have a point of order I'd like to take, because we're getting into the spending portion of the agenda tonight. And I just want to remind people that in November, there were 7 people that were running against 4 people. 7 people wanted everyone to invest in the school district, i.e. pay more taxes. The 4 said no more taxes, holding the line. And at the end of the election, the 4 who were standing up to no tax increase made it. That says something to me, that the electorate, as a majority, does not want a tax increase. But at this time, I would like to make a motion to table some of the spending tonight on the agenda to include the tar and chip program, the PSBA renewal, Barber Institute agreement, and also smart boards temporarily. I'm not against smart boards, but at this time in our budget process, I think we should wait until our new superintendent is in place. Things I would not cut. Student travel should go forward. Internet security items that were reimbursed 80% should go forward. The Microsoft 365 update, which will keep us safe, should go forward. And we have a responsibility to the printing of the real estate taxes. Those items should be approved, I believe, in this motion. By tabling these items until we pass a budget and our new superintendent is in place, as far as I understand, we will not have to reopen bids because it's tabled and not frozen. So the incoming superintendent has a restructuring program in mind, I'm sure. But by us spending this additional money before we have a budget in place is irresponsible. So that is my motion.
Okay. Can we just get some, like, from Jordan still on the line, is that correct?
Yes.
Just to make sure that, like, I agree with, like, I plan to table certain issues tonight, but just so we're doing this, like,
legally.
Yeah, Parliament, like, so we're doing it right.
So, I don't know if everyone can hear me or not, but what you would do is, if there's a second to Mr. Custard's motion, you would then entertain the motion to table with no further discussion unless the chair allows it. So that motion takes priority since it was made, but only if there's a second.
To have a clear motion for everyone though, just because they were hearing it.
And let's repeat your motion.
Sure, the motion is to table some of the spending items on the agenda.
Right, which one?
To include suspending or tabling tar and chip, smart boards temporarily until we have a superintendent on board, PSBA renewal, the Barber Institute agreement, but we would allow student travel because they've earned it, internet security items that will help protect us,
Can you do the letters?
the Microsoft 365 update, what's that?
Can you do the letters?
Oh,
Yeah, 6A.
I didn't prepare for that. But then the printing of real estate taxes was the last one.
What about?
So
7A, B, C, and D? 7A? No, not the other.
So B, student travel would be okay.
Just do the ones you want to table.
Right. So,
Yeah, just,
Your
it's
full list
Jordan
of-
again, just go ahead and do the ones that you're going to table and try to identify those by letter.
Okay.
For the motion.
All right, and this is 7, right? We're in 6.
It's
Okay, so, and
Are you saying 6E? Barber National Institute 6E?
yeah, 6E.
Speak into the microphone, please.
6E would be tabled. 6F, interactive smart boards, tabled. The Renaissance Learning Student, that's 6K, would be tabled.
So you table this too?
Mhm. Asphalt repair, 7A. Maplewood High School tar and chip, 7B, would be tabled. And 7C, Maplewood High School tar and chip. Alternate bid, gutter replacement, 7D. And,
So all of 7 then, right?
yes. And that would do it.
So all of 7, 6E, F, K, you mentioned PSBA, what is that? 10A. And I think that 10A listed the PSBA, you mentioned that too?
Yes, so 10A.
That's 10A.
Yeah, so the cleanest way to do it would be if that's your motion to table all of those items together, then that's your motion. If there's a second, then you vote on that motion to table. Just to clarify, you could also go back and move to table each one of these individually as well. So I'd first determine as to whether you're trying to aggregate all these together, and if that's your motion, then you make your motion. Is that what you're trying to do, Mr. Custer?
That's my motion. All together.
So Cynthia, can you read out, just to make sure you have it all?
Motion to table by Mr. Custer, 6A, 6F, 6K, 7A, 7B, 7C, 7D, and 10A.
I heard 6A.
No, 6E.
6C.
6E, 6F, 6K, 7A, 7B, 7C, 7D, and 10A.
That's right, that's what I had as well.
And I just want to make sure that by tabling, we do not have to put the tar and chip back into bid. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you.
Can I ask, I know we're not, it can be discussion or can't, but on the one that I would question.
So David, just to make sure you want to do it the right way, you have to make a request of the chair to have motion for discussion on Mr. Custard's, to have discussion on Mr. Custard's motion to table. And then Mr. Johnson either allows it or he doesn't, under Robert's rules. So what I heard you say is you're going to make a request to have motion, or to have discussion on the motion to table.
Correct.
So Mr. Johnson, what's your response?
Yes for discussion or no for discussion? I'm going to say no.
Okay, so the request is denied. So now, if there's a second to the motion to table, then there's a vote. Is there a second on the motion to table as read?
I'll second.
All right, there's a second. There should be a roll call vote.
Is there a way to ask for an amendment to the motion?
You could, but what I would recommend doing is that you vote on the motion to table as presented. And then, Mr. Staborski, you can make a separate motion. So there should be a roll call vote on the motion to table 6E, F, and K, 7A, B, C, and D, and 10A.
Okay. Ms. Beers?
No.
Mr. Bannick?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
No.
Mr. Chauncey?
Yes.
Mr. Custer?
Yes.
Ms. Lugo?
No.
Mr. Staborski?
No.
Mr. Valesky?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
5 yeses, 4 noes. Motion passes.
So item table.
Yes, all those items are tabled.
Now, can
I ask for an amendment to that past motion? For item K and what was the PSBA one? 10A and item K.
So, yeah, Mr. Staborski, what you could ask for is a motion for reconsideration.
Yeah.
And then you have to vote on the reconsideration first.
Okay, I make a motion to reconsider the tabling.
Yeah.
Is there,
He said 6K,
6K and
10A.
10A. And item E as well, Barber National Institute, we're going ahead and circle. So those three, K, E, and lose my space.
6K, 6E, and 10A.
Yeah, 10A, that's what I said.
6E, 6K, 10A.
That's a motion to reconsider.
Yes.
Still needs a second.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Mr. President, can we have a discussion as well?
say again?
May we have a discussion on that reconsideration? So I'm a little concerned about the Barber National Institute, what that may do if we don't have that agreement set forth. So I'd like an answer on that. The PSBA is our board docs, which is what we all use, we're currently using now as we sit here. And I'd also like to know what that would do to the Renaissance. So this is the STAR test. This is a tool for the teachers. I assume this is for next year. I'm sure the people at the table, Mike, Brian, you're familiar with the STAR test. It's how we assess where the students are. Without the STAR test, I think our growth we won't see any growth. With the STAR test in place, teachers are able to adequately see where their students are with their reading levels. We have kids in reading levels in 4th grade, in 8th grade, in kindergarten, and they're all sitting in front of the same class, and that STAR test allows teachers to adequately assess their needs. So not approving that tonight, those 3 items, I would like to know what the drawback would be. So if somebody can speak on the Barber Institute, the PSBA, as well as Mr. Newman, if you may speak on that as well, what that would do if we do not agree to that agreement.
Mr.
We don't
President,
support that
can I
agreement.
make a comment? My intention for the motion is only to table until our new superintendent is in place, June 11th. And then it would be, I would move to untable it, and he, with his restructuring idea, would, after we untabled, then we would make the decisions. I'm just saying, while we're doing the budget process, let's hold off on the spending. The government keeps spending, even though we're 31 trillion in debt. And our debt, we're spending and spending and spending. I'm just saying, take a break until the new superintendent comes in.
Yeah. I'm just asking if that's going to do any harm until that point.
Yeah.
Not signing that agreement.
For a month.
I can speak to the STAR. The only thing with the STAR, I mean, they'll give us a new quote later. I just can't guarantee any of the savings they've already issued in the current
So
quote.
potentially it may be more expensive because we're in agreement with them now.
I can't guarantee what they'll give us.
What about the Barber Institute agreement?
Patty Healey could probably address that more so as to that.
The impact of waiting 1 month.
So the agreement with the Barber Center is simply an articulation agreement to be able to send our students to the Barber Center. It's not a financial commitment at this point in time. That's built into their fees. My fear is that Mr. Ford's coming after the next board meeting. So it would actually be August before you would be voting on these things. And that may then delay the ability to secure the student seats at the Barber Center.
So there's no immediate financial, just if we use it?
Yeah, just if we send students.
Correct. This is just an agreement to send.
Okay, that's what I thought, there was no financial agreement. So what about
There is a financial cost to sending students.
Well, yeah,
Once we
we
send
said it, right. But this is locking in
Correct.
our seats, basically.
And so then the last one, so we know that potentially for the Renaissance, I agree, we could approve it in the summer. I just didn't know if that impacted this year. Potentially could be more. I think it's a tool that's absolutely necessary. You know, and some of these I agree with you. Like I was on the fence on some of these as well, and I will be tabling in the future. But I just didn't know of any immediate impact that we'll see, even with a month or 2 months. Or that's a good point. Is August is our next one since we changed the schedule. So on the PSBA membership, will that impact the board?
July 1st.
So PSBA needs to be renewed by July 1st. And then our next voting meeting after the June meeting is August, so it will need to be decided on at the latest by June.
Those would be my 3 for the.
Real quick, may I ask a question? It's not the table, not the vote, just a question on the budget. Legally, am I allowed to bring that up now? On our budget, is there still the $400,000 for the lights? For the football field lights, the stadium lights?
No, that comes out of the capital, that's not general fund. That's Fund 32, not Fund, that's 32 or 39.
But it's in the
not
budget,
Fund 10. No,
For the
it's
next
not
year's
in there.
budget?
No.
Oh, okay. It's
The
not.
400,000 in the budget is to move to Fund 32, our capital project, to fund those projects such as the tar and chipping of the parking lots and all that stuff. It's a separate fund from your general fund.
Well, I guess that's what I was asking about, the tar and chip.
That's not Fund 10. That's not the fund you're voting on tonight for your tax increase in that. It's a separate fund. That comes out of the capital improvement fund.
Now, on that capital improvement fund, what I was gonna ask, could we take that 400,000 out of the capital fund and use that to buy the smart boards and some other supplies?
No. May I?
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Concerning the bids,
I understand where, what you're doing. To table that, again, we're trying to put our heads around this up like everything along that line. If we're not going to meet until August, my suggestion to you is just reject the bids. As far as my paving, the gutter, and the tar and chip. You're going to push these guys, they're looking for, we're in May, this work's done June, July, August. If we don't meet until August to approve it, we're not going to get it done. Let's cut that loose.
And
we throw that off until, I didn't catch you before you voted or whatever, I was still trying to process, but that's my suggestion to you. If it's not going to be supported now, let's table that till next year, we just do it next year.
But we do have the authority and ability to have special meetings, do we not?
Mm-hmm.
And why could we not have a special meeting to get these untabled before August?
You could do that.
Thank you.
But the thing is, these guys will be booked up.
That,
That's what he's getting at.
I'm just saying, is just in respect to these guys here too, if we're not going to do it, I can tell them they can look for other work. And to a good point, you're coming around here mid-June, mid-July.
Yeah. But
And
if we have a special meeting after July 11th, when Sean Ford is the superintendent. June 11th.
June 11th.
When were they supposed to start?
They could have started as soon as school was out. And what I'm saying, it's still here May, they're getting it on their books. We're going to push it out there another 25, 30 days. That puts us even further back. I had timeline stipulations to have it done by the middle of August. We're really going to be pushing that. That's my opinion to you.
They're not gonna be able to service this year because they're gonna be low, which they should be. That's the way it works.
Okay.
Your smart boards are not a 25-year spend. They're fixtures. The way I would interpret that from your capital budget. Okay.
He's correct. A capital purchase has to be extended 25 years in order
Just
for them
asking.
to fund 32.
I would just rather spend money on smart boards than lights, that's all.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
So my reconsideration is still in discussion on letter K, provide that tool at the cost that we have listed, the Barber Institute agreement in order to keep our seats, as well as the PSBA. That was my order. I agree, it's unfortunate that we want to get guys going as fast as we can, but if we just voted at a table and just trying to find some olive branch here to keep things going in place.
And I just want to clarify one thing to make sure everyone understands Robert's rules. So, the chair can allow Mr. Stavorski's motion for reconsideration, but Mr. Stavorski was not in the majority for the motion at table. He was not the prevailing party. Therefore, it's not actually a valid motion for reconsideration unless Mr. Johnson entertains it. So that's up to the chair. But I just do want to clarify that for the record.
Yeah, I'll entertain it.
So I guess I make the motion for reconsideration. Thank you, Mr. President, on those letters again, 10A, K, and E.
6K, 6E, and 10A.
Yes. That's my motion.
Second.
Motion and a second. You had the second?
Tim had the second.
Tim had the second. Roll call.
Ms. Beers? Yes. Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Chauncey?
No.
Mr. Custer?
No spending.
Ms. Lugo?
Yes.
Mr. Stavorski?
Yes.
Mr. Valesky?
No.
Mr. Johnston? 5 yeses, 4 noes. So yes gets it.
So procedurally, for the minutes, what happens is 6E, K, and 10A are then untabled and capable to be voted on again during the meeting.
Do we need another motion or that on tabling good?
So what that does is it automatically untables them, and then they're capable of being voted on at this meeting. So just 6E, K, and 10A are back on the agenda.
Okay.
So now we'll move on back onto the agenda. We'll start back up at item 6B, student travel. Resolved that the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the student travels listed for the Cambridge Springs High School teams, Cambridge High School robotics, and Cambridge High School history club.
So moved.
Second.
Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Item 6C, resolve PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the attached resources and materials in accordance with policy 109.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Item 6D, resolve the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the attached resources and materials in accordance with policy 109, book donations for Maplewood Elementary as listed.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Okay, item 6E has been untabled. Resolve the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the attached Barber National Institute agreement.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same.
No.
Motion carried.
Okay, item 6F was tabled. Item 6G, resolve the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the attached quote for networking equipment and licenses at a one-time cost of $100,682.35. This has been submitted for E-rate funding, which will result in a discount of 80% of the total cost to the district. Of which $24,873.55 will be the one-time real cost.
So moved.
Second.
The motion and the second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Item 6H, resolve PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the attached Microsoft participation agreement for enrollment for education solutions for the license period June 1st, 2024 to May 31st, 2029.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and the second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Item 6I, resolve that the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the attached Northwest I-85 Cisco Umbrella Service Agreement for filtering and network security for 5 years, $48,730.50.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and the second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
6J, donation, resolve the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve to accept a donation of $25 from Linda Dutcher in memory of Elaine Rudy for Maplewood Elementary School Library.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Item 6K was untabled. Resolve the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the attached Renaissance Learning student assessment software at $40,355.50 to be paid out of 24-25 budget. This is a decrease of $6,566.50 from last year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same.
No.
Motion carried.
Okay, Section 7, Facilities and Transportation, the entire report was tabled. On to Section 8, Financial Report.
Mr. Chairman, please.
clarification, just from my speaking there, are we going tabling, or are we gonna go reject all bids? I don't mean to be, I'm trying to get it for.
I said
for
it
my
was tabled,
contract.
but we didn't reject the bids.
I'm sorry?
It was tabled, but we did not reject the
Okay,
bids.
thank you for the clarification, just so I can tell. Thank you.
Okay, Section 8, financial report. 8A, resolve PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the attached treasurer's reports.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second, any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
8B, resolve that the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the payment of the attached disbursements.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and second, any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
8C, budget transfers. Resolve PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the attached budget transfers.
So moved. Second.
There's a motion and second, any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Mr. President, point of order. As we are entering in our proposed general fund budget vote, I would like to make a motion that we amend our current budget proposal to a 0 mil tax increase. I suggest we be able to maintain 0 mil tax increase and balance the budget. We heard about balance, but the district has not done it for years. So I say we balance the budget with a 0 mil tax increase and use one of the only areas that we control spending, staffing. $2 million went to the staff, the union and the staff. And so by increasing our expenditures by $2 million, I think once our new superintendent is here, he will have plans for staffing cuts that will help us to balance the budget with a 0 mil tax increase. So, my motion is to amend our current budget proposal to a 0 mil tax increase.
Item D, right? Or D. Yeah. I'll second the motion and we can have a discussion.
That's up to you.
That's it.
What's that?
It's up to the president to allow discussion.
Discussion or not?
Yeah, we can have discussion.
So I'll just quickly give what I said last week. I'm a firm believer that education isn't bought with money, and I've watched the budget increase almost $10 million over the last about 4.5 years that I've been on the board. And I don't blame that solely to bad investments or bad spending, although there's been plenty of things that I've disagreed with that we've spent on. The majority of what I'll blame that on is inflation, but we live in that same, taxpayers live in that same inflated world that the school district is living in. We're at the grocery store and we're not buying that candy bar, just like the school district is gonna have to make decisions on what they can't afford. Households are stretched thin. I said this last week, it is nearly impossible to raise a family off a single income anymore. It's nearly impossible. Ms. Miller said earlier, you know, that the most important learning a child will receive is from their teachers. And teachers are very important, but the learning that a child receives at home is far more important than what they'll ever receive here. They learn morals, they learn that parents are obligated to teach their children what is true. So the walls of the home, I believe, are much more important at the end of the day. And if I can protect their money then I will. I'll protect the taxpayer dollars every day over it. We're spending, I work in a supermarket, I see what people are buying. They're buying less. They're buying totally different things than they were 3-4 years ago. It's a whole nother world. Like, we're living in that world. The school district has to live in it too without forcing more on taxpayers.
Yeah, for me, it's more of control and power. We have the state and the federal controlling a lot of things. And for me, I'm just sick and tired of doing the same thing what the state tells us to do, or what the federal tells us to do. Like Dave says, we love the teachers. And I hear you guys out there. Somebody said we're at 50% at reading, 70% at math. And actually the lady at the end was saying, to be successful, we have to do what the state tells us what to do, basically, in a nutshell. I'd love to talk to her about that. But to be successful, we have to come to a community agreement. The teachers got a nice contract. I'm happy for them. They got a great contract, and we're kind of situated in the 65%. We only get state funding from 65% of the state, and only the rest goes from the community, a little bit of the federal. So as a community, I think for us, we have to dig deep in other areas besides just taxes. Like for the history, boosters, and all the other stuff, maybe we have to shell out as a community more money for certain items and things that we want as a community. But to raise taxes, there's a lot of people hurting in this community. And like Dave was saying, I don't believe in having a mill increase. I think we still balance the budget, hopefully in the next month or so. We're still working on it. So, I mean, we're not saying we're not going to have a tax increase, but as right now, I think we can balance the budget. So for me, we got to stop spending. We have a new assistant or new superintendent coming in June 11th, and for me, it's like, let's start fresh. What's his vision? I'm not a tech guy at all, but I've talked to teachers. I've talked to Amanda about the smart boards. I mean, they're nice, and a lot of teachers like them, and I've talked to teachers and stuff like that. So I get it. This is a tech future, but there's also jobs as carpentry, electricians, and all the other stuff too we can't omit. But for me, it's like, let's start fresh with a mill increase, nothing, no taxes, and let's start with a new superintendent has a little vision we can follow and go from there.
So I'd like to add to that, thank you for your comments. We have had a lot of conversations, and there is hopefully some good moving parts. Mr. Ford has already been involved in a good way, which is good to see. You want to hit the ground running. I agree 100% with what you said. It starts at home, and I think where the discrepancy is where the kids are coming from. Somebody spoke earlier. We have an increase of kids coming to school hungry, abused, malnourished. Some are grieving, and we have to provide education for them. And as that contingency grows, of course, the amount of services we have to provide grows, which of course then the expenses grow. And that seems to be happening all over. That's not just here in PENNCREST. Part of the budget presentation is what is everyone else doing? And I think the 2 mil was slightly below what everyone else is doing to meet the needs of the students where they're at. I wish we could say, I wish all the kids were coming with good homes, of value of education. That would make all of our lives easier, including ours up here, but they're not. They're coming with a lot of problems, and they're not going to learn quadratic formulas if they're being abused or they're hungry. That takes a lot of services, and that's why the budget has increased for schools all across the area. It's not just PENNCREST. All budgets are ballooning, and it is a shame that it goes to the taxpayer. That's a community thing. That's a community thing, and you don't have a solution out there, and I don't have a solution, and we don't have a solution. But if you want to know why it's ballooning, the contract we approved is right in step with the supply and demand, what everyone else was doing, and I'm excited that got done as well. So thanks for bringing that up as well. I see the 2 mil as a good jumping off point for now. The Homestead Act that Ms. Eckert brought up and the savings that people will potentially have versus what this will do to their monthly income it almost makes it null and void if they've applied for that. And we brought that up in committee meetings. And so hopefully there's a lot of taxpayers out there that applied for that, because now the state's finally getting a kickback to them. So that's where I'm at. I think that's a good jumping off point. I think it meets our community, what they want for their students. I'm tired of walking in and seeing the building paint peeling. Somebody mentioned the bricks earlier. This is not, you keep cutting and cutting and then expect scores to increase and expect students to have 21st century skills. It's not a positive correlation like that. It never has been. Give me a district that keeps cutting, 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 and then sees an increase in, I guess, retention of the students. It just doesn't happen, unfortunately. It's not a place anyone wants to live, or anyone wants to be at, including myself in this seat right here with this discussion. So that's where I'm coming from. Is I know the budget's ballooning. I know it's getting bigger. And I know the student population is decreasing, as it is everywhere. Everyone's budget's ballooning. It's because they need mental health needs. I'm sorry. The students are coming in with grave things that I hope I never have to go through or my children have to go through. And it requires a lot of services. So that's where I'm at. I think the 2 mil is a sufficient call for what we have seen in the last decade for PENNCREST.
Could I just respond? Thank you for that. I do not want to do what everybody else is doing. I don't want to have to rely on the state to send me more money, which also comes from you. You're getting hit by the school district, and then you're getting hit by the state for the money that comes in for us as a district. I don't want to do what everybody does. And if the state looks at the fact that we have a balanced budget, they're not taking us over because we're doing our business. Thank you.
But we've brought up numerous times how we're performing, and we are comparing ourselves to everybody, so it should at least be part of the discussion about what everyone else is doing versus what we're doing.
Yeah, I'm just going to bring up, one thing we can all agree on in here is if we didn't have to raise taxes, this wouldn't be a discussion, because I pay them too. My family pays them. Yeah, I get tired of taxes. Between the income taxes and everything else I have to pay now, it sucks. But here's the deal. You guys keep bringing up technology, and the thing that gets me about the technology is, a gentleman earlier touched on that, Tom ONeil. He did a fantastic job, and I appreciate him speaking. I don't know if he's still here, but technology is not going away. And you said something about electricians, plumbers, and so on and so forth. Those trades are not going away either. But the electronics involved with them are getting more and more. People are using more and more computer smart homes. I have my son-in-law who's now just went to Georgia for training for PLCs for all new drives on HVAC systems. I mean, computers are taking over. I mean, technology's taking over, and it's getting more and more. And the few young people I've talked to in the fields, they made it clear that they wish they would have had more computer training in school because it's hurting them now. People, not our age, but close to that. I didn't say it, sorry. I didn't mean to offend you. We had this discussion on the old board years ago. I don't even know if David was on here, but Mr. Johnson was on there, and we said if we're going to make this jump into technology, it's going to save us in the books, so we're either going to do it or we don't, and we did. I'm not saying we did it right, because we didn't. The person at the time did not do it right. But there again, we can't control what had happened. I do have tons of faith in our team now. I think they're phenomenal. To go backwards is going to cost millions of dollars. We can't do that. We have to keep marching forward at this point. We're too far in. But the one thing that somebody keeps saying that there's $2 million in staffing to cut, I would really like to know what that is. because our staff is smaller now than it's ever been. And I would just like to know where that $2 million is. I've been going through in my head. I don't know where you guys get your number, but I'd like to know where that's at.
Oh, that number, the 2 million was from the contract. The teacher's contract is worth $2 million. Okay? I didn't say anything about all of our staff is 2 million.
No, you said $2 million to cut.
No.
Oh, I misheard you. That's what I heard you say. Now I'm trying to figure out, where are we cutting $2 million in staffing?
No. In 2016, 35 teachers were furloughed to balance the budget.
Well,
It can be done, I'm
it
just
was-
saying.
But actually it was 28 and the other was retired, but yes.
Okay.
And we have a bunch retire this year, and we're gonna have a bunch next year, but, to take away staff, I mean, where do you stop with the class sizes? I mean, where's it stop? And that's a one-time thing. That's what you get this year. If you do, say, you cut 20 jobs, that's, I don't even know what that's gonna be, $2 million? What are you gonna cut next year? If we've only lost 50 students between now and then, what do you cut? The budget's not going down. Our costs keep going up.
But we'll have a deficit of 0.
No, we won't. You're not gonna have a deficit of 0. But hey,
Okay.
just my vote.
We good?
Motion on the second.
No, I appreciate it.
All right, so just
A couple comments, I agree with everything that's been said. Technology is not going anywhere. I'm not a technology guy, but I think we really need to look at, I know we tabled it, but the $100,000 in smart boards. The kids going to school for HVAC, they're not learning that from a smart board. They're learning it at VOTech, hands-on, on a computer, which these kids do have computers. They're not learning that from a smart board. They're not learning any of those technology things about the computer boards, the smart boards, the motherboards, everything in computers. That's not what they're using them. That's not how they're learning them. They're learning at VOTech. If kids are coming to school hungry, and I know that they are, there's a book, years ago I was involved in the book bag program. A lot of it was in like the 5th Ward area. Well, that's not because we're not cutting, it's not because we're cutting taxes or raising taxes. It's because at home they're hurting for money and the prices of food are going up. So it's what we're doing here. I've heard comments about kids are coming to school hungry. They are, but it's not has anything to do with what we're doing up here. Our schools give free breakfast. There's programs for free lunches. If we keep raising taxes, and I'm not saying we have to do a 0, but a 4 mil, no way. 2 mil, no way. Maybe a half, but the kids are coming to school hungry because of taxes and the whole economics right now. Okay, it has nothing to do with us. Dave, I don't know if your numbers are correct, but you said in the last 4.5 years, 10 million or
Close to 10.
something, say 9 mil, 8 mil, whatever. Okay, let's say 8 mil. In the last, we've heard a lot of people talk about our scores not being where they should be. And I've heard the comment saying, well, if we cut taxes, that's going to hurt the kids. If we haven't cut them in 4.5 years, why are our scores that low? I agree if we cut stuff, it would hurt the kids. I agree with that. But if we've raised them, say, 8 million in the last 4.5 years, why are our scores low then? It's not because we cut taxes, because we haven't cut taxes in the last 4.5 years. So the comment of, well, if we're going to cut them now, it's going to hurt the kids' scores. I'm sure it would, but why are our scores low now? Not because we've cut taxes, because we haven't in the last 4.5 years. I agree we need to, I'm not saying that, is it possible to balance it? I'm sure, but the 4 and the 2, for me, it's way too much. I think there's other things we can look at, but that's just my opinion.
So I'm glad, so if I can clarify, I was referring to not just hunger, but the amount of services and needs that kids have. Whether it's hunger or grief or abuse or any other type of mental setback. I was referring to the amount of services in general. I know we feed the kids, we feed them breakfast and lunch for a reason, because if they're not fed, they will not perform well. And If you were at the education meeting, we saw that we are, in fact, scores are growing in the right direction. There's two different methods you could look at. It's just raw data and how they're performing versus growth. And so that's what I was referring to with the point with scores and with regards to hunger, is that the amount of services and needs that these children have has increased.
And I just want to reiterate the last 3 years of tax increases, the half mil was strictly for the bond. It did not go into the general fund at all. So those tax increases had nothing to do with the general fund. Those were strictly on the bonds. And I think the one before that was 5 years ago, Kristen?
It was 2018.
Yeah. That was the last tax increase that went into the general fund. So I just want to make clear that we haven't been taking money and putting in the general fund. That's strictly been for the bonds.
Yeah, I'll make a comment on the student to teacher ratio. We're at 13? No. Where are we at?
Well, that's a fictitious number. If I can kind of clarify on that.
23.
Ask a teacher right up there.
Yeah, if I can clarify on that, so it says on our website 13 to 1. If you do the math, it comes out nowhere near that. However, that is how many teachers. We have 213 teachers to the number, I can't remember, it's changed a few times, but yeah, it's like 24/70 or something like that. If you divide that number, that is how many, that would be the ratio of teachers to students. That is not classroom size. But yes, it is the student to teacher ratio.
To add on that, we've talked about an increase in special ed. Now, a lot of those IEPs and 504s require by law small group instruction. And in some cases, I'd imagine 1-to-1. So be aware of that. You just can't say, let's increase class size to something that's typical, but if the student has a legal document, and if we want to start getting it, you can ask Jordan, I'm sure, if we want to start tangling with the special ed legal side of education, we're in some big trouble. So those documents that's another side that's also adding to the ballooning budget of the school is legally these documents require small groups. And that's a phrase that's in there. And that is a quote from these legal documents that we have to adhere to. Small group is the phrase. So
we can't touch those jobs anyway because they are funded federally. So we can't get rid of any of those aids. And the other aides, I have the notes in here, but we can't fire them.
To try to help you, Mike, get back on your track, because I kind of stole that from you, sorry. So 13 to 1 would be the student to teacher ratio. I think you're going down that direction. I'm thinking you're saying we can work on the student to teacher ratio, and maybe not necessarily, it will affect class sizes. Is that where you're going?
Yeah, well, I heard 13 to 1. The teachers out there, what's
not right.
23.
25, 23? Okay, I know Tim just next to me said 27, one class. Yeah, I'm not all for increased sizes of the classes, especially in elementary, 1 through 6. But yeah, I think we can accomplish, again, the budget. I heard these 3 words, I'll just say it. Prioritize, be strategic, and be creative. I think, like most of the people here, the 5 of us that voted yes to no taxes, we got to be creative. I mean, we're at a time now where we've increased taxes, like Ryan said, for the last 4, 5, 6 years, whatever it is, and what do we get out of it? We have a new superintendent coming in. He's going to have a vision, so let's start from scratch. Try to balance the budget as best as we can, and go from there.
I have a ton of research on the student-teacher ratio and what would happen, but I would rather hold that till the finance committee meeting, so we're not here till 11 o'clock. But I think that should be held in the finance committee meeting, and we still have a motion on the floor and a second.
Well, I think we need to, if we could close discussion on this and vote. A lot of this is definitely, we gotta have some conversation at Finance Committee meeting.
Yeah. We have the solicitor just weigh in to make sure we're doing everything procedurally right.
Yep.
All right, Jordan?
Yeah, so thanks, Ken. There was a motion to amend item 8D on tonight's agenda from a 4 mil increase to a 0 mil increase. That's permissible because the millage is going down. If it was a motion to raise the millage from 4 to, let's say, 6 or 8, that would be impermissible because it wouldn't have given the public an opportunity to come and comment on what would be a higher increase. So the motion now that's on the floor is to amend item 8D from a 4 mil increase to a 0 mil increase. Item 8E is still on the agenda, which would be consideration of the 2 mil increase. So procedurally, you should vote on the amendment first and see if that passes or not.
Roll call.
Ms. Spears? No. Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Brown? No. Mr. Chauncey?
Yes.
Mr. Custer?
Yes.
Ms. Lugo?
No.
Mr. Staworski?
No.
Mr. Valesky?
Yes.
Mr. Johnson? 5 yeses. 4 noes. Yeses passed.
Okay, so the motion was to amend it to a 0 mil tax increase, so now we will vote on that, correct, Jordan?
Yes, Ken, that's right.
Okay, the amended action for 8D is resolve the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the attached proposed preliminary 24-25 general fund operating budget at a millage rate of 0 mils and to authorize the business manager to prepare the PDE 2028 budget document.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, roll call.
Ms. Spears? No. Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
No.
Mr. Chauncey?
Yes.
Mr. Custer?
Yes.
Ms. Lugo?
No.
Mr. Staworski?
No.
Mr. Valesky?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
5 yeses. Yeses, get it.
Motion passes. So then, Jordan, on item 8E, that one is moot now, right?
It is, but procedurally, it should still be voted on, just because it is on the agenda.
Okay, thank you. So, item 8E, resolve the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the attached proposed preliminary 24-25 general fund operating budget and millage rates as listed for item 8E, and to authorize business manager to prepare the PDE 2028 budget document.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Roll call.
Ms. Spears?
Yes.
Mr. Bennett?
No.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Mr. Chauncey?
No.
Mr. Custer?
No.
Ms. Lugo?
Yes.
Mr. Staworski?
Yeah.
Mr. Valesky?
No.
Mr. Johnson?
No.
5 noes.
Motion fails.
Yep.
Item fails. 8F, resolve PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve to exonerate district's elected tax collectors from collecting delinquent taxes for 23-24 real estate and per capita taxes as attached.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Item 8G, resolve PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the attached agreement with Government Software Services to print the 2024 real estate and per capita tax bills.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
8H, resolve PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the attached service purchase contracts for medical services rendered during the 24-25 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
8I, donation. Resolve the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve to accept a donation of $260 from retired teachers in memory of Elaine Rudy for supplies, giveaway books at the Title I event in honor of Elaine.
So moved.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Section 9, Personnel Report. Would the board entertain
Yes.
consent agenda on that one? Request approval of all items listed on Section 9 of the Personnel Report, as listed.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same. Motion carried.
Okay. Down to 10A. Did we untabled that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on table,
Okay,
okay.
thank you. Item 10A, resolve PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve the attached PSBA 24-25 membership renewal and policy maintenance program participation agreement at $14,839.12.
Motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
What's our expiration date on this? You said it earlier.
July 1st. is fine.
Yep.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same.
No.
Motion carried.
Item 10B, appeal of court case. Resolve that the PENNCREST Board of School Directors approve to appeal PENNCREST School District v. PENNCREST Area Education Association, PSEA, NEA, at Crawford County, docket number 80-2024-122 to the Commonwealth Court.
So second.
Good motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
Other than just I'm torn on this one. Because we just approved $25,000 more for our solicitor this evening in a budget transfer. I worry about, we had this discussion of what kind of precedents this may set. So I'd invite some conversation from my colleagues here. Because we're getting pretty high on our legal fees as discussed the other night. But I also understand the precedents established may also exceed that. So.
Yeah, from what I heard, I wasn't here Monday for the work session, but from what I heard,
There we go.
what I heard from the phone was it was inherited. Is that correct?
No, the solicitor was saying most of our legal issues were inherited to his law firm.
Okay.
Which is true. I was just making a point.
Yeah.
That's when I brought up the budget transfer.
Yeah, for me, it's just like technology. Do I want to spend a lot of technology? For me, I'm a traditionalist, no. But for the safety reasons and the future of our school, yeah, we're going to spend money. If you want to protect our board from the community and vice versa, all this stuff going on, I think it's a good investment for me as protection for the school board and the district. That's why.
What do we gain in that?
Past practice on contract, setting a precedent.
Precedent of what? It doesn't really.
Mr. Brown, it's ordinance. So this is what we had discussed with regard to the bereavement arbitration. This is also something that we inherited
Oh, I
You know,
get
and
it.
I would rest on, yeah, I would rest on whatever I said in executive session to the board, but I'm happy to answer any additional questions about it. But that's just for your edification, Mr. Brown, where that came from was
Right.
last week's discussion on whether to appeal that matter to the Commonwealth Court or not to, and that's the board's discretion.
I just don't understand when this is gonna stop, I guess. That's all. How far are we gonna go with it, I guess?
I appreciate, Randy, what your concern of the transfer and the level of what we're paying as a district to protect ourselves. I think with the added amount that we're paying, I think it would behoove us to go to the solicitor more before we vote so we don't get into problems. But we also have to be reminded that this is we're one of the only solicitors who has brought money back into the district. That's all I have.
Well, that's great they brought money, and I like Jordan. I'm asking, is this a bang for our buck? And you keep saying protecting the board, but what do I need protected from? I don't let myself get in those situations. I don't get it.
Wrong decisions, wrong voting.
It's just potentially a precedent that may be more costly in the future, is
Okay.
what we're
Let's
asking.
just
I
vote
wasn't
on it. Let's get
attacking.
the heck out of here.
Yeah, I wasn't attacking.
No, this was not against Jordan.
Right, no,
Right.
I was, and I'll make a comment, right, because it's out there. I am legally allowed to vote on this. I am not a member of the PSEA, contradictory to what was said numerous times. So I am legally allowed to vote on this, being that the PSEA is a member of this, but, any other comments? We can end it.
Others? Did we have a motion and a second on that?
Yeah.
Okay,
Brown.
roll call.
Beers? Yeah. Mr. Bennett?
Yes.
Mr. Brown?
No.
Mr. Chauncey?
Yes.
Mr. Custer?
Yes.
Mr. Lugo?
Yes.
Mr. Saborski?
Yes.
Mr. Valesky?
Yes.
Mr. Johnston?
Yes.
8-1.
Okay, section 11, the board met for executive session on May 6th and 13th for personnel and legal. Next, we have a brief set of public comments from the district. The PENNCREST School District is very proud of our students and staff's achievements and efforts. The following items are just a sampling of the many things that help to make PENNCREST a great positive educational community. Please visit each school's website or official social media sites for updates and happenings throughout our district community. At Cambridge, another successful Cambridge Cares event culminated last Friday with students and staff working throughout the Cambridge attendance area on various projects for the community. For Maple Schools, Mr. Gardner and Mr. Bryant put on the annual concerts for 5th and 6th graders. Check out the MES social media sites and see some photos of the action. From Sagertown Schools, the annual Sagertown Elementary School musical shows were once again a big hit this year. Again, check out the social media sites and webpage of the Sagertown Elementary School for some great pictures of the action. And then finally, the end of the school year calendar is full of all kinds of exciting events with prom, senior awards, field days, and more. So please visit our school's websites and official media sites, as many photos and videos of these great times will be displayed at this very special time of year. Thank you. So lastly, we have citizens' comments on non-agenda items. Again, for registered citizens, 5-minute maximum. Up first, we have listed Chris Greco. Please come up, state your name, township residence.
Good evening, Chris Greco, Woodcock Township. I would also like to bring my booster president up because he was going to be speaking after me because it's on the same issue. If we can we do that together, or?
It's going to be 5 minutes?
It won't be 5 minutes between us both. It'll be probably 5 minutes total. Okay, thanks. I just wanted to, I've met many of you in your families. I also am the varsity boys basketball coach, a teacher, coach, advisor, taxpayer, and for about the last 25 years, we've run a very non-successful, lucrative feeder program for Saturday Basketball League. And where students that are 5th, 6th, all the way up through high school have learned skills, character, responsibility, been role models, help referee, help run concession stand. Just this year, we received a bill from the district for $3,000, $2,980 some dollars that Mr. Dre will talk about in a second. And when I asked for some clarification, I got zero. I sent an email to Mr. Dixon, crickets. I reached out to other assistant athletic directors. They said that was the price of doing business. This isn't a business. Again, we're talking about students. We want to pay the custodians their rightful fee, and we recognize that on a Saturday it is time and a half, and we've done that for 20 plus years. Over the last 2 years, cost has gone up. On the bottom of a form, it went from $30 to $35 to $45 an hour. I know that custodians, their overtime rate is not $45 an hour. And my concern is, where is that money going? And that's all I had asked. And I at the request of one of your board members, sent it to Mr. Saborski, Mr. Johnston, and Mr. Brown. And I don't know if it was passed on to you. But I just wanted some clarification, because it's not about us making money as a basketball program. It's about having a safe Saturday environment for 8 to 10 to 12 teams to come. We pay liability insurance at the cost of our boosters. And I just don't understand. And as a taxpayer, not to hear a word from Mr. Dixon, I just don't understand that. So hopefully maybe you can get some clarification, because the response that he gave my booster president is that's their benefit package. Their benefit package doesn't increase because they work on a Saturday. So I would like to turn that over to Mr. Dre at this point. Thank you.
So I just wanted to add to that, and just to make sure, I don't know if you're familiar with our league that we run. I've been involved in it 9 years, running it for the last 7. It runs January and February on the Saturdays. So basically it runs 8 weeks on those Saturdays. And first off, I want to make sure the janitors have been fantastic. I've never had an issue with the janitors. That's not the issue at all. I just wanted to get clarification. When I did hear why it was so much, it was that 2 years ago the board had made a decision to raise these fees to $35 last year and then to $45 this year, that it was a board decision. So I guess my question is, why $45 was landed on for the custodians and also for snow removal. Thankfully, we did not have a bad winter, or our fee probably would have been over $5,000 for snow removal. We only had to pay for 4 hours one day for snow removal this past year. So thankfully for that. I guess I just want to find out where that number comes from. Are the janitors truly getting that full $45 an hour on those Saturdays? If so, I'd like an application to sign up and work for those. But the bigger issue is, like you said, this has been something that we either break even or make a little bit of money on, not a lot. This, in effect, will end this league. And it not only affects Sagertown, the schools we've had involved in it, Cambridge, Maplewood, Union City, Cochranton, Meadville, Jamestown, Commodore Perry, Fort LaBeouf. All of those schools in the past and more have been involved in this, and this will come to an end because we can't afford those kind of fees. And I understand maybe an outside place saying, hey, we want to rent your facility, let's charge them $45, that's fine. But when it's our own programs, to move it up to that cost, and just for a little reference, in 2022, we paid $1,281 for custodians. 2023, we paid $1,393, and then this year the bill was $2,902. So a huge jump. And like I said, we're not against, the custodians have gone above and beyond for us. I enjoy working with them on those Saturdays. That's not the issue. It's just, I would like a little more clarification on where the 45 came from. And just so you guys know, for our feeder program, this ends it, because we can't lose money now on paying this fee every year. Thank you.
And one last comment. When it did go up about 6 years ago, because I've been doing it for now about 14 years, we charged the parents $1 just to come in. And that was to help offset the cost of the custodians when their rate went up. As an overtime rate, I think it went up to $24 an hour at that time. And no one balked at that. And again, we're thankful for all that they do, the mopping of the floors, the salt that comes in, the shoveling of the sidewalks. And it's not an indictment of them, because again, as Mr. Dre said, they do a phenomenal job. And I'm about teaching my players, and I'm wearing their shirt tonight, an attitude of gratitude. We want them to be thankful and be that role model. And I hate to see the program that has been successful for almost a quarter century, if you think about that, stop that abruptly just for this cause. Thank you.
That's all the registered citizens. Any non-registered citizens wishing to speak this evening?
Hello, Jameson McIntyre, with Hayfield Township resident. I am a recent alumni of Sagertown High School and a current undergrad student at SRU. Shortly, I have to say I am disappointed in the future of this school district. 1 year ago, I came to the school board to address certain Policy 109.2 issues and issues regarding transgender athletes. President Biden did pass a Title IX edition that recently just came from mid of April. It does go in effect August, but it does not deal with transgender athletes. When that time comes, there is a policy that does interfere with that. And policies that do not fall under that, Title IX or anything along with that, you lose federal funding. So I know the federal funding is very slight in terms of the budget, but why put that on the line when we're already a lot in deficit? I would also want to mention the Sagertown High School marching band. There really isn't one right now. They should be learning right now or getting ready for band camp, but that is not happening this year. There is no band director for that. There's no position open. There's nothing for that. As a drum major for that band for 2 years, and all the awards you see out there have been won by the marching band. Stuff like that, if you want that to continue, at least have some clarification on the future of what's going to happen with the marching band, because the boosters and members of that are left in the dust. That is all I have to say.
Any other non-registered citizens this evening?
John Kerr again, Hayfield Township. I'm against transgender sports. I do not want women competing with men and men competing with women. Thank you.
Hearing none, I'll turn it back over to you. Sorry, I didn't see it.
That's okay. Laura Bullock, Rockdale Township. I just want to thank those of you that did vote on the no. Shows your priority to the students. Those of you that voted yes shows your priority towards just the taxpayers. I think there are a lot of people up here asking you to, find a balance between the two. As a parent of a student that's going to be graduating and one still in school, the opportunities are so limited with the programs, and just when you are going to get creative on the cuts, you need to be informed and come into the classrooms and see the size of the classrooms, the teachers teaching, and what happens. Just in order to make an informed decision, you have to be informed, and to do that, you need to come into the classrooms. You can't be doing research on the computer. You need to see what is going on. So I'm hoping when you do get creative, that you're looking at things that is for the students and not setting them up for failure, because everything that was discussed tonight, really, as a parent, you are setting our kids up for failure, period.
Additional non-registered citizens this evening. Okay, now I'll turn it back over to you, Mr.
I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye. Aye.